With far-reaching effects on customers, manufacturers, and the larger economy, a dramatic 60% drop in vehicle prices points to a major change in the automotive sector. For customers, the immediate impact seems to be somewhat favorable. More reasonably priced cars can result in better accessibility for a larger range of people. Previously unable to buy a new car, those people may suddenly find it within their means. Longer wait times and possible quality compromises as manufacturers hurry to create more vehicles could follow from a surge in demand stemming from this price drop that the supply chain may find difficult to match. The sharp 60% drop in car prices directly affects manufacturers' income and profit margins, therefore stressing their finances. Automakers' whole income is cut when car prices fall, since they get much less per vehicle sold. This drop in income is especially troublesome as the expenses of manufacturing vehicles, including labor, materials, research and development, and logistics, do not follow the same trend. Consequently, the difference between manufacturing costs and sales prices grows, stranding profit margins at unsustainable levels. Many automakers find that their declining profitability calls for quick cost-cutting actions to survive. Often, these steps include cutting back on non-essential projects, eliminating manufacturing sites, and shrinking the workforce. Such behavior can have a domino effect, resulting in job losses not just inside corporations, but also among other businesses in the automotive supply chain, including suppliers. The economic crisis may be exacerbated by the decrease in the workforce, further lowering consumer expenditure. The pressure on profit margins could compel producers to cut their creative and developmental expenditures. To remain competitive, especially in sectors like electric cars, autonomous driving technology, and fuel economy, the automobile sector mostly depends on ongoing innovation and technological developments. Given limited R&D budgets, the rate of invention might slow down significantly. This slowdown can make it difficult for the sector to satisfy customer expectations and future regulatory needs, giving foreign rivals who can keep their R&D spending competitive. In such situations, smaller manufacturers who usually run with smaller margins and less financial cushion are more likely to become insolvent. The financial pressure can force them to file for bankruptcy or combine with bigger corporations. Consolidation of the industry can lower competitiveness, which historically has resulted in increased prices and fewer options for consumers over time. This reduced competitiveness affects suppliers as well, who can have fewer customers and therefore less negotiating leverage, stressing their financial situation. Falling car prices also pose hazards to the more general banking industry. Many financial institutions' portfolios heavily feature auto loans and leases. The reduced value of the collateral backing these loans results from declining car values, therefore increasing the lender's financial loss risk. Tightening lending criteria by financial institutions could help to explain why consumers find it more difficult to pay for automobile purchases, therefore reducing demand and extending the slump in the automotive market. The knock-on consequences go outside of the automotive industry. Industries closely related to car manufacture, such as steel, electronics, and component suppliers, will also suffer. Job losses and economic downturns in areas dependent on raw materials and components might follow from lower demand for these goods. Furthermore, a notable decline in automobile values can have an impact on the financial industry, especially in relation to leasing agreements and auto loans. Higher default rates for lenders might cause the resale value of leased cars to collapse, therefore creating more general financial uncertainty. The mining and materials sectors would be among the most affected. Vehicle building depends on metals such as steel, aluminum, copper, and lithium. Reduced orders for these raw materials, resulting from a decline in automotive manufacturing, cause mining businesses to lose a lot of income. Mine closures, layoffs, and lower funding for newly proposed mining ventures might all follow from this falloff. Often in developing nations, areas mostly dependent on mining could suffer economically as job losses rise and local businesses shrink. The energy industry will also suffer from the decline in raw material demand. Energy-intensive metal and automotive part manufacturing calls for large volumes of fossil fuels and electricity. A slowdown in production will lower energy usage, therefore affecting utilities and energy suppliers. Lower energy costs resulting from this decline in demand could help consumers in the near future. But they could also hurt the profitability of energy businesses and result in lower investment in energy infrastructure. The effects also reach the chemical sector, which provides plastics, rubber, and specialty chemicals needed in different vehicle components. Reduced demand for certain goods could translate into lower manufacturing quantities, which would cause factory closures and employment losses. Chemical businesses may have to postpone expansion plans, scale back operations, or slash research and development funding, therefore restricting innovation and growth within the sector. The greatly impacted would be the electronic components sector, which provides essential parts for modern cars, including semiconductors, sensors, and infotainment systems. Electronic components are mostly used in the automobile industry. Hence, a decrease in car manufacture can result in an excess of these parts. This overabundance can lower prices, therefore undermining the profitability of electronics producers. To lessen the effect, businesses in this industry could have to change their manufacturing capacity, let employees go, or look for other markets. Affecting the logistics and transportation sectors will be a lower demand for raw resources and components. Raw materials to manufacturing facilities and completed goods to assembly lines travel through a complicated network of transportation options, including ships, rail, and trucks. Less shipments resulting from a decline in car production will have an impact on the transportation business's income and can cause employment losses in this industry. Ports and terminals handling significant amounts of automotive-related goods may see lower activity, which would have an impact on local businesses depending on these activities. Regional economies that are mostly dependent on the automobile supply chain will see economic spillover effects. High concentrations of manufacturing in supplier areas could suffer a severe economic slump with rising unemployment and limited local expenditure power. Lower tax collections for the local governments resulting from this fall will influence their capacity to maintain infrastructure and offer public services. Communities dependent on the automobile sector could have to diversify their economic base in order to lessen their susceptibility to such industry-specific shocks. Economically, a notable reduction in car prices could indicate more fundamental problems, such as a strong recession or a major loss in consumer confidence. Should the worst still strike as advised, it would point to more economic difficulties, including growing unemployment rates and lower consumer expenditure in many different industries. Policymakers would have to step in with calculated actions to support impacted businesses, stabilize the economy, and shield consumers from more general economic consequences. First of all, the automotive industry is a big part of the economy since it offers millions of directly producing jobs as well as indirectly via dealerships, aftermarket services, and supply chains. A sharp drop in automobile prices can lower automakers' profitability, which would cause factory closings and layoffs. The resultant unemployment constrains social safety nets and lower disposable income for impacted workers, therefore lowering customer spending. A decline in consumer expenditure can cause the whole economy to slow down since it drives a good share of economic development. There are also really significant negative consequences for the supply chain. Businesses that provide raw materials and components to manufacturers, including steel, aluminum, rubber, and electronics producers, will see lower sales and income. So, after knowing all these things, what are your plans? Share with us in the comment section below. If you enjoyed watching the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.